Hey peeps, welcome back to the second part of how to pass as LA Shaman in P1. Today we're going to talk about BLACKWING Descent and Throne of 4 Winds. First up, let's talk about Omnitron defense system. On this fight, I would recommend not using the chain lightning glyph, so you can chain lightning whenever 2 or 3 golems are up with no shield for better cleaving. You can technically use the chain lightning glyph because of the ads that Toxitron spawns, but they die super quickly and they aren't up that long, so if your raid is super struggling with the ads, then of course you can do it, but most of the time it's super easy and they die quickly and it's not worth it. Your fire and earth elemental do not proc any shield besides Magmatron, since Magmatron is an absorb or rather do X amount of damage shield and then I break. If people swap and don't dot, your fire ally can stay up without any issues, since on 25 men it's a 450,000 shield. On 10 men it's only 155,000, so it can be super close, so you have to see if your raid swaps or not. And depending on your gear and how unlucky you get, technically fire ally can solo break it as well. That's unfortunately just how 10 men work. You can actually avoid this by just popping Magmatron shield on purpose. If you roll raid CDs, no one will die and then everyone can attack 2 targets, which obviously makes the kill way faster. You can also reset the boss until you get Arcanotron first if you're doing a pass run, so whenever he spawns his power generator, you can lust and everyone gets 50% increased damage. Even if it's not the first boss, I still think holding lust for everyone to get a 50% increased damage buff is still worth it. Whenever Arcanotron comes back and you know he's about to spawn the AoE damage field that you can stand in, and you have EM up, wait until the field is spawned so you can EM while you're standing in it for an even bigger damage increase. Now for Magma, if you are doing 10 man, you want to use the chain lightning glyph to pad on the ads since they count towards your pass. On 25 man, you want to stack in melee. I like using the lightning bolt or even flame tongue weapon glyph instead of unleashed lightning due to very little movement on this fight. You want to chain lightning spam the boss with the blazing bone construct up and flame shock both of them and keep lava bursting and earth shocking the boss. For Maloriak, you want to use the chain lightning glyph so you can pad on the ads. Your fire ally can actually be used on the start. It might die to the black face puddles, but if you have enough splash healing, it should be fine. It wouldn't hurt to ask a healer to actually focus your fire ally. There is no easy way to distinguish whose fire ally is who. What you can do is ask for raid assist and then mark your own fire elemental so the healer can find it easier. You want to chain lightning spam the ads to pad, but after releasing all minions, stop padding since the ads do not count anymore. So you want to focus the boss completely then. Now for Chimeron, you want to be lusting on pull for easier passing. You want to remove your unleashed lightning and go lightning bolt glyph instead. You want to obviously blast the boss, so try to go as close as possible to the boss. Maybe you can even snack the spot right in front of it. If you are a little bit away from the boss, you want to use unleashed elements, spirit walker's grace, or earth and flame shock during movement. During the last phase, the boss takes increased damage. Try to have your elemental mastery up for it with your pot. Obviously, you don't want to hold out on elemental mastery for too long. If you can use it and then get a second elemental mastery for the last phase, obviously you want to do that. If you know this is going to be the last elemental mastery you'll actually be able to use, then you want to hold it for the last phase. That being said, is you don't want to overthink it too much. You don't want to use elemental mastery at the start and then hold it for the last phase. You obviously want to use it almost on cooldown, but it really depends on your kill time and how many casts you can get off without moving and stuff like that for your elemental mastery cooldown. So this might take a couple tries where you actually get to line up your EM in the last phase, but you don't want to hold it unnecessarily because you might cuck yourself out of another one. Now for Nefarian's End. This boss fight is super RNG with mind controls. You want to get as many as possible. This is also why it's removed from ASP. That being said, the ads on the pillars are obviously very important. You want to have DPS evenly on them. If one of them is super ahead, the people on that platform need to stop DPS, and that means you're losing out on DPS. So this fight is actually going to be super annoying to pass on, but even then, if you have to stop DPS on the pillars, if you don't get MC'd a lot on this fight, you're not going to be able to pass either way. Now for the Throne of 4 Winds. You're most likely going to be on Anshar when you're doing Conclave. Anshar obviously has ads, they do not count towards your pass, so you want to be single targeting the boss as much as possible. Obviously as an Elemental Shaman, AoEing with Chain Lightning is super easy. If you can do it to get a few more Fulmination stacks, that's totally fine, but you don't want to be focusing on the ads specifically. Other classes lose a bit more when they have to AoE. This obviously means it's going to slow down the boss fight. Now for your Fire Ally, you want to put it super close to the jumping over part of the platform. Whenever you jump over, you cannot stack in the middle because otherwise your fire ally is gonna teleport to you and then despawn. So you want to put it super close to the jump over part, jump over, go a little bit to the middle but not too far, so you can still get some heals, and then you can also have your fire ally still be on the platform whenever you go back. I like removing Unleashed Lightning to go Lightning Bolt on this fight. You don't have that much movement when you are on the Unshroud platform. You can use your boots or Spirit Walker's Grace whenever you have to move. Raids actually one phase every single boss, so depending on your kill time and how dedicated your raid is, you can pass very easily here. Of course, you do not want to use your Earth Elemental on Unshard because that's going to taunt the ads to be on the boss, and that might heal them and they don't die. Then for Alakia, you want to remove your Chain Lightning glyph completely. You want to use obviously Unleash Lightning because there's a lot of movement. You want to use both your elementals at the start with procs because in the last phase, they will not be attacking. That's why you're going to be using Searing Totem. You can Chain Lightning off the boss whenever the little ads spawn. Obviously, you got to keep in mind that most people are going to try padding on them, so try to not kill them too quickly. You can basically just spam Chain Lightning to get the ads close to death, and then whenever you need to kill them, you can just Earth Shock them or let someone else kill shot them, and then you keep going with Chain Lightning whenever the new ads spawn, and that's how you're going to increase your DPS by quite a mile on Alakia. You gotta keep in mind that whenever your Earth Elemental is still up and the little sparks spawn, it can AoE taunt them and keep them away from the raid, so you gotta keep in mind that that can happen, and obviously you have to recall your Earth Elemental if that does happen. Whenever there is no Wind Burst, which is the knockback, I do like to stand a little bit further away from the boss because the boss has a mechanic where if you're too close to him, he will interrupt people randomly. That's obviously a DPS loss, which means you do want to stand back a little bit. But if you obviously don't trust yourself to not get knocked off when you do this, you can just stack in melee and eat the DPS loss. I recommend using Totem of Tranquil Mind, so whenever your group is getting Chain Lightning, you do not get as much of spell pushback. That's everything for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you out a little bit, and good luck passing.